Hi, welcome to SBR Sports Picks. My name is Peter Loshak. It's week 9 in the NFL, and this is the Into the Weekend with BetDSI show for NFL Week 9. Of course, in this show, we talk with Brent, the headlines manager at DSI Sportsbook, about all the notable betting action that he takes over the week in both NFL and college football every week. NFL Week 9. Brent, last week, the Sharps, according to you, went 3-2. Not bad, which puts them now on the year in the NFL 28-18. That's 61%. Very nicely done. The Sharps, another small winning week in the NFL. They're just chugging along here in the NFL. Some years the Sharps have not been that good in the NFL. They've at times been right at 50% long term, over the entire season. But this year, no question, the Sharps have a great read on the NFL.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been consistent this year. I mean, I think if you go through, I don't believe there's been a losing week. I think 4-4 and 3-3 have been the worst weeks so far in NFL. So yeah, it's been, hasn't been like lights out any week. I think they went like 4 out of 5 one week. But other than that, it's been just a nice slow grind of winners.
All right. So we got 3 games I'm going to ask about specifically. The first game I want to ask about is the Indy-Houston game. I'm sure that, a lot of people are wondering what a midweek announcement of an injury to a star quarterback like Deshaun Watson does to the betting profile of a game like this. Obviously, the game gets taken off the board and then reopened at a significantly different line. This line opened at Houston -13. After news of the injury was taken off the board, now it's about -7. And I guess my question is, what kind of action were you seeing before the injury, and what have you seen since you released the new line?
Yeah, I mean, it's, obviously it's not first off, you feel really bad for Houston and obviously Watson as well. I mean, he had been doing so well for that team, and they kind of been coming around. And, that whole division that they're in as well, it seems like year after year is kind of like a dogfight. No one ever runs away with it. And you're looking at Houston with 3-4 and Jacksonville 4-3, Tennessee 4-3. So it's, just a real tough loss for them. I mean, obviously they had the loss on defense a couple of weeks ago as well. So they're really hurting, obviously. Yeah, the line at the time, I think it was down to like 11.5. So perhaps it was a little bit high to start with. 11.5 is kind of where the number was when that came out. And yeah, I mean, the first thing you do in a case like that is you take the game off the board, and then when you reopen it up again, you kind of open it up with like smaller limits. You want to have that game circle so you don't get hit in terms of just kind of waiting and feeling out to see what the right number is after. And again, it's always a question of what's the drop off between the quarterbacks. So you're looking at Watson, and perhaps fortunately or maybe unfortunately, we saw his backup. Savage, we saw him for a couple of games this season, and he played, last season as well. So you see someone who you had a feel for in terms of his ability, but unfortunately his ability wasn't really on the level of Watson. So it kind of, impacts everyone. Now, I mean, generally speaking, you want to look at a quarterback that good, and you figure he's like a 4 points to the number, and it was like 11.5. I think, like I said, so that would peg you like around 7.5. We're down to 6.5 right now. And again, part of that could be attributed to just like the whole morale of the team. I mean, it's just a bad break. So we're sitting down to 6.5 right now. I did get sharp money on Indianapolis actually when it was at 13, like one of the early bets, and that's kind of what helped drive the number down to 11.5. So we were from Indianapolis plus 13, and again, this was not on the Watson news. This was a guy who played, he just saw value with the Colts at the plus 13. So that number had got betted down by the Sharps to 11.5, and now obviously is where we are at 6.5 right now because of the injury. And again, I've got decent number of bets on both sides of this game. I'm still slightly favoring Houston. Before the injury came out, I had a wager count favoring the over as well, but obviously that's kind of shot with the news that came out.
So that was a list guy on Indianapolis plus 13.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to kind of count it towards.
No. That counts, Brent. That counts. I mean, look, if they had come in and bet, Houston at -11.5, we would have counted that. A bet's a bet. When you make the bet and the line gets taken off and reopened at a later line, the bet stands. And if a list guy hit Indianapolis at plus 13, that counts as a list play for this week.
And they did, Peter. You're one tough cookie. I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. I mean, it might not be actionable now by anyone watching this video, but it definitely counts as an official list play. And again, the breaks even out long term. If someone had bet Houston at -11.5 and then Watson goes down, we would definitely be counting the -11.5 as a sharp play as well.
Yeah, you don't knock on the door and say, I didn't mean to bet this now. Can I get that canceled?
All right, so sharps on Indianapolis plus 13 is an official sharp play this week, although, that doesn't help anyone watching this video right now, but they definitely get credit for that. The next game that I want to ask you about is KC and Dallas. And Dallas, of course, off of two big margin wins and covers after their bye. KC, a great team, but they have their bye coming up next week, so maybe a little bit worn down here. And there has been a big market move in favor of Dallas as well. It opened around Pick'em. Now it's up to about -2.5, so I would not at all be surprised if you told us that you did take early sharp action on Dallas at Pick'em, and I'm assuming that Dallas is also a big public play here as well.
Yeah, I've got a lot of public action here on Dallas. Sharper respectable money on Dallas. Not a list guy per se. My actual public money is more so the other way with Kansas City, despite the line move the other way. Now, again, it's not even a 2-to-1 count, and the guy who bet Dallas was not a list guy, but it was respectable money. He came in here with us at 1.5, and we're sitting at 2.5 -115. But as you can tell, I mean, the whole market's gone the same way with that. So on the side, again, it's not a list guy that I have per se. But again, the whole Elliott stuff, and he's been messing with our lines all season long in terms of is he in, is he out, he's suspended, or he's not. So he got a temporary stay, so he's back in the lineup for Dallas, and obviously that's a factor to the number. The shame with this game is that it's not on Sunday night. I mean, this should be the night game. Instead, we get stuck with Oakland at Miami. This should be one of those cases where they throw out the wild card and say, hey, can we move this game? But we got this in the afternoon, Kansas City at Dallas. The total is where I do have sharp action, Peter. I do want to mention that. That came on the over 49. We're sitting at 53.5 right now. There's a couple 54s out there as well. So everyone's kind of jumped up on this number. And, like I say, I'm in Kansas City. We've had a lot of over bets with them kind of all season long. And I've got a wager count heavily favoring the over as well, almost 10-to-1. So I got a whole lot of public money on the over. I got sharp money on the over. So that's never a good spot for us. But over 49 is where that came with the sharp action.
Okay, and then the next game I want to ask you about is the Sunday night game, Oakland and Miami, a very interesting one here. I still feel like the public, despite the fact that Oakland, has lost 5 out of their last 6 games, those straight up in ATS, I still feel like they're the kind of team that the public would be eager to bet when they're matched up against a terrible team, which is the case here because Miami, of course, blown out last week 40-0. So I'm assuming that the public's going to be looking at this game and taking Oakland all day and all night. And again, despite the fact that Oakland has been bad ATS over their last 6 and basically this whole season, and the fact that it's a Sunday night game makes me think that there's going to be just a ton of public action on Oakland, and that probably it's going to be a big decision game where the books are going to need Miami.
Yeah. It's interesting we talk about the fact that Miami's the bad team and Oakland's perhaps the better team, yet Oakland's 3-5 and Miami's 4-3, and just kind of. But I get what you're saying because you just don't like Miami just doesn't look like a good team at all. Cutler's going to be back this week. They're going with a committee at running back it seems. Parker, wide receiver, he's questionable, but he's expected to play, so maybe Miami's getting a little bit healthier. But I do have sharp money on this game, and unfortunately as well, it did come on Oakland -2.5. I've got a wager count 2-to-1 favoring Oakland, so I got public money on Oakland. We're sitting at -3 right now. Sharp action though did come in earlier on this one at Oakland -2.5, so it's never a good spot for us, especially on like a Sunday night game when you got you figure that by the end of the day everyone's going to be betting this game because everyone's going to be watching this game, and generally they're going to bet the favorite. So I expect to have a whole lot of money Oakland's way, and I got sharp money there as well. So this number I think will probably get bet up to like 3+ juice and stuff like that. It might take that to get some sharp money back. If not, it's going to go even higher. Kind of be fishing for Miami money come Sunday night. I think I just get the feeling on that game. The total pretty much balanced. I mean, we haven't really moved from this like 43.5 to 44 is where we are right now. Nothing of note on the total at all. Almost split in terms of my money and my wager count.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing that the public's going to be all over Oakland as well. So it feels like it's going to be a lopsided situation. If sharp money's like in Oakland as well, that you're going to need Miami. It might be a potentially bad spot for you guys, right?
It could be, yeah. I mean, you'll kind of get a feel for how this line goes. I mean, if it goes, you're looking at 3 -120 or 25 by kickoff, it's all one-sided money coming Oakland's way.
Okay, what else can you tell us about notable sharp action from the rest of NFL Week 9?
I can tell you that the Denver Broncos have a very good defense, and as good as that defense is, the offense is equally as bad. Their defense is so good, and you kind of feel sorry for them, especially. I mean, you look at that game last week as well as a good example. I mean, they hung tough with Kansas City, and their offense just couldn't do a whole lot. That game did end up going over, even though we had sharp money come kickoff. It was under 44.5 is where that money came. That total closed at 42, and it still went over. Now, I mean, kind of late action that put that game over. But Denver and over has kind of been a trend. You've got Osweiler back at quarterback for them, which, may or may not be good news. Emmanuel Sanders is questionable. I think that he might be in there as a receiver. But again, you're talking about a Denver team that's lost 3 in a row. And, Philadelphia, I mean, I don't know, you kind of blink and missed it, where the fact that they're sitting here with, at 7-1, having, rattled off a 6-game winning streak. So I do have sharp money on this one, and that's the under. Perhaps no surprise with Denver's defense being what it is and their offense being what it is as well. That's, for the good and bad of both of those. So under on the Denver-Philadelphia game, under 44. Yesterday, again, it only moved down to like 43. We're still sitting around 43 as of yesterday. Today on Friday, we're at 41.5. So it's moved down quite a bit, and it's continuing to move that way. Teams coming off the bye is something that we've talked about, in the past. And again, I think later in the season is perhaps when that becomes more valuable. As the season goes on, that break versus a team that hasn't had a break or was off a break a few weeks ago seems to be more valuable, I think. But we do have a game here where I've got a bad team against a good team, and both teams are coming off a break, and that's the LA Rams at the Giants. Giants, the winners of 1 game so far this year, and the Rams are sitting at 5-2. They've rattled off a couple wins in a row. They are on the road at New York. And again, like I mentioned, both teams are coming off the bye. I've got a sharp and public split here. No surprise where the public is going, obviously, on the Rams, and sharp money on the Giants, +4, -105. This game had gone down to like 3.5 and 3.5, dog 15. Is back to 3.5 flat pretty much across the board. There's even some 4s back out there again, just because of overwhelming public money on the Rams. And again, it's not, it's not often that public money moves numbers for sure, but this is a wager count. And again, in NFL, when you got a wager count of almost like 5-1 favoring the Rams, that's quite substantial. So I'm sitting at that 3.5. I did touch 4 sharp money at the Giants, +4, -105. And again, it's just we're going to sit back, and I say this all the time, we're going to expect good things from a bad team, and that's the Giants. At least it looks like they're getting Shepard, one of their wide receivers, back. So I mean, they lost was it Marshall and Beckham and Shepard, kind of all that same game, and it looks like Shepard's coming back, so we'll see if that makes a difference. They seem to have found some semblance of a running game, but again, taking the home team plus the points is never a bad spot long term, so we're going to be hoping for the Giants this week for sure. And judging by my wager count, it's going to be, it's not going to change by kickoff, that's for sure. Another game for you is Atlanta. Now, this line has flip-flopped. They played Atlanta +2, and Atlanta is now a 2.5-point road favorite at Carolina. Carolina, of course, traded away one of the receivers, Kelvin Benjamin. It's kind of surprising because I didn't think they had a whole lot of depth at wide receiver, but I guess money matters and stuff like that came into play in terms of Benjamin perhaps had underperformed when he was in the contract year. They should get Greg Olsen back, but I think he's not back this week. Maybe next week he'll be coming back. So we'll see what Carolina does if they kind of make a stronger commitment to the running game. But I mean, we'll see what how that works out for them. But sharp money was on Atlanta again. Atlanta +2 is where it came in. Atlanta's now a 2.5-point favorite on the road at Carolina. Another small favorite here is in one of those kind of ugly looking games is Arizona at San Francisco. Arizona -1 is where I got sharp action. Now the Cardinals are coming off the bye. Carson Palmer, of course, is not going to be there. Stanton is going to be their quarterback, so you expect maybe a whole lot of Adrian Peterson. We'll see how that works out. San Francisco on their own side as well. I mean, they lost Pierre Garçon. He's done for the year, so that obviously hurts a team that was bad already, sitting at 0-8. And the big trade news of the week was Garoppolo, the quarterback for San Francisco, but he's not going to be ready. He's like weeks away from starting for them. So San Francisco going to be going with missing wide receivers and an unproven quarterback who didn't look very good his first time or a couple times that we've seen him. So, and again, Arizona, you got a backup quarterback, but Arizona -1 is where the sharp money came in. We're at 2.5 on them right now. Kansas City, Dallas, we talked about already, and Oakland -2.5 versus Miami, we talked about already. So that's everything for the week, Peter.
All right, great breakdown, Brent. As always, Brent again comes from BetDSI Sportsbook, and if you want to sign up for a new account there, use the promo code Weekend25, and you'll get an additional $25 free play. Brent, thanks so much. Talk to you again next week for NFL Week 10.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.